It's time for the top. It's time for the top. Yeah, let's stop there. Yeah, let's get the top. Time for the top 50 albums of the year 2020. Upon going through this list, I realized how much incredible music dropped this year and how much good music we got overall, despite the pandemic and everything. Before we get into that, there were some comments on the last video that I felt the need to address. You know, some of y'all called me Megamind, and you know, I took that personal. Y'all saw me wearing a hat and just assumed, you know, I must have fucked up my haircut or something like. See, I must have made niggas feel too comfortable by roasting myself, saying I look like a janitor. Let me just tell you something right now. Whatever look I try, I'm a god. I'm pulling it off regardless. If I decide to wear a hat one day, that's my decision. Megamind, no Megamind. My hairline been in full effect since I was a young boy. Shit ain't going nowhere. You worry about your own shit. You need this, not me. Oh, why'd he shave his beard? Cause I can grow another one. You've been working on that same shit for years. How's your progress? Look next to you. Where your bitch? She gone. What you doing to him? But nah, y'all, I fucking hate you niggas. On a more serious, less childish note, we have the top 50 albums, and I'm really lying because it's actually 51 instead of 50, but we're gonna get those out of the way quickly. Number 51, I've got Homeboy Sandman with Don't Feed the Monster. Very dark album. Don't go into it expecting anything lighthearted. It's all about trauma and all about the past. I acted a fool to Jesse Lanza's All the Time album. Danced around like crazy, cleaning the house to it. You should too. Number 49 is J Hus with Conspiracy. Number 48 is Currensy and Harry Fraud with the Outrunners. I'll go around. You could say this one grew on me a bit. Number 46 is Don Toliver with Heaven or Hell. I really enjoyed this project. Everything that I pretty much like about Don Toliver just expounded upon a little bit more. Not the best project I've ever heard in this lane, but I definitely want more from him after hearing something like this. Out of the 12 projects that were dropped this year from Flea Lord, I think that this is probably my favorite. Alter Ego. Beat selection here is among my favorite, and the hooks and flows are infectious for someone as bar heavy as he is. At number 44, I've got Royce da 5'9". He hits us with one of his strongest efforts with a great pin and even more well-placed features on the allegory. Number 43 is Agnes Obel with Myopia, and I am in love with the way Agnes fuses her very ghostly vocals and these dreamy instrumentals for a very heavy-hearted, enticing adventure. Okay, I have to read this next one. 42 is Silk Money, Attack of the Future Shocked, Flesh Covered, Meat Bags of the 85. And to me, this album is the definition of being upset that you know shit. This album is the definition of I'd be happier if I knew less. At number 41 is Stove God Cooks and Rock Marci with Reasonable Drought. At number 40 is Pop Smoke with Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon. I would have loved to see where Pop Smoke could have gone in the future after hearing a project like this. 39 is Terrace Martin with Dinner Party, Kamasi Washington, Ninth Wonder, Robert Glasper collab for a slew of smooth, jazzy, soul instrumentals. Some of my fave beautifully and confidently sung by Chicago-based vocalist Felix. At number 38 is The Cycle, Mourning a Blkstar. Very dark psychedelic neo soul music. I'd recommend you get yourself in gear for a project like this because it is energy consuming with how long these songs are. Number 37, Logic finally frees himself of the anxiety associated with releasing great music and instead just does it on no pressure. I'm really proud of that growth. I'm really proud at the place that he ended up at. If this is going to be his last album, I don't think this is a bad place to leave things off at all. 36 is Amine with Limbo. Number 35 is My Dying Bride, The Ghost of Orion. Number 34 is Future's High Off Life. Though I don't consider this to be the greatest Future project he's ever released, I think after the slew of projects that we've gotten from the year 2017 all the way up until 2020, this has easily been the strongest in my opinion. One of my favorites at the very least. Quelle Chris and Chris Keys with Innocent Country 2 at number 33. At number 32, I've got 21 Savage and Metro Boomin's Savage Mode 2. After hearing Savage Mode 2, I'm really curious of the future that horrorcore and trap music have as a fused like entity. Metro solidifies himself as one of the best producers in the game, and 21 Savage is as cold as ever. Number 31 is Salieu with Send Them to Coventry. Send Them to Coventry can be looked at as so much more than just a UK rap album because of how sharp and piercing Salieu's delivery and conviction are all over this project. Number 30 is Cali Uchis with Sin Miedo. Number 29 is G Herbo's PTSD. G Herbo comes off like a traumatized child talking too fast for all the adults to keep up with on this project. His delivery and flows are so exclaimed on this project, sometimes you're taken aback by how much information you're actually getting. And I love how he's matured on this project without losing a bit of what made him popular in the first place. At number 28, we've got luxury rap from the slums at its finest from Westside Gunn's Pray for Paris. At number 27, I've got a written testimony from Jay Electronica, and though Jay-Z shows up more than I'd like for him to on this project, my itch finally got scratched with New Jay Elect, and it was good to say the least. Apollo Brown and Shay Noir gives Shay a backdrop other than the hardcore hip-hop she normally boasts and postures over. Not only is the production a step up here, but the content is as well. At number 25, I've got Man on the Moon 3 from Kid Cudi. This story of acknowledged distractions turned to a fight with one's demons makes for a great underdog story, especially in 2020. With how spacious and adventurous most of the instrumentals are on this project, you'd be surprised at the lyrical maturity and incredibly despondent tone Sophie Allison carries all throughout Color Theory. Boldy James with Real Bad Boldy just seems like the perfect backdrop for him, and it's easily one of my favorite projects this year. At number 22, I've got the deluxe version of Black Pumas. Everything I loved about the original LP that came out last year, I love about this one, but just better. 21 is going to be Blu Exile-Miles with Miles. I still don't know how to describe why I love this project so much, and maybe I'll still come to a formal review sometime in the future. But all I can say is listen to it because it's an amazing body of work. I should show y'all the vinyl that I have for each of these too, because they sound fantastic on vinyl. I'm so happy that Red has evolved beyond what people expected them starting as a Christian rock group. Declaration is easily one of my favorite projects of the year. The melodies and the harmonies that they carry despite having a hard rock sound with majority of the album, it just makes it such a rhythmic and such an ear-grabbing and catchy listen, taking notes from other genres as well to make for more catchy and infectious choruses. At number 19 is going to be Clipping with Visions of Bodies Being Burned, and though I was not as big of a fan of this album as I was their previous There Existed an Addiction to Blood, I still loved how they still carried that horrorcore-like theme on this project. Just made it so it felt like additions to their already existing concept from last year. And I love how experimental the group continues to be despite me feeling like they've explored as much as they could. They still challenge themselves to go into every nook and cranny, and I really appreciate that. Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats hit us with one of their best projects collaboratively and in their solo discog with Unlocked. I really enjoyed this project. It was a great listen for me personally. A lot of retro, underground, kind of 90s-esque hip-hop boom bap beats. If you've seen the music video for a lot of these tracks for the album, it looks and is described visually the exact way I would picture them while listening to the song. Denzel's delivery, his one-liners on here are funny, so yeah, I'd recommend. Caroline Rose with Superstar at number 17. At number 16 is going to be Fleet Foxes with their Shore album. This album, for the first time in a long time from Fleet Foxes, even since back when Helplessness Blues was one of my favorite projects in their self-titled project, this felt like a return to form for them. And especially in quarantine, this just helped me feel much better. It helped that sunniness that I've been missing. It helped that togetherness that I've been wanting. That hopeful aesthetic that I've always loved from their music made a return here. Number 15 is Gorillaz with Sound Machine Season Season 1. Strange Times? This album tested my ear because it made me remember to be patient with music again. There were moments here where I felt like some of these tracks were not slow burners, but what is the word I'm looking for where it takes a while to build into something? A nut? Yeah, this album felt like being patient pays off. I love that after all this time, Gorillaz have yet to stop being resourceful. They've always maintained this open mind when it comes to genre bending and genre fluidity. I've loved that about them since their early days, and they don't stop that here. Artists you wouldn't expect to make certain music and certain songs work completely shatter your expectation, from Schoolboy Q to Skepta to Black, Elton John, St. Vincent, the whole nine.
Walk on the edge, fuck trying to dream in the bed. Before I down these meds, niggas gon' die in the feds.
Navy Blue stays connected to his roots, but still hopes for a better tomorrow on I Did a Earring. I think that's the name of the album. Bad with pronunciation sometime, okay? I'm sorry. Despite everything that he's aware of and everything that, you know, may be holding him back from people's perspectives, he still is fighting. He's still hoping for a better tomorrow. He's still gonna try his best. Leya with Flood Dream is this dark ambient adventure accompanied by these gorgeous string instruments guided by her very heavy and haunting vocals. I love the way that this all comes together. At number 12, I've got Wizkid with Made in Lagos. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. Lagos. I'm going with Lagos. This is a great project, and it just made me painfully aware of how talented Wizkid is. And, you know, amongst everything, because I've been aware of him since maybe 14 or 15, 2014, 2015, I think. But I definitely could not have expected an album like this, like, to be as enjoyable as it was. And I love how there are no compromises. Wizkid lets you know on this album, if you don't like it, there's something wrong with your ears, not the music. Lyra Pramuk with Fountain is like futuristic folk done near flawless. This is what I feel you'd get from a nomad traveling Earth with next to no humans occupying it, and your only line of communication with the few examples of life you do manage to run into is through vocal harmonies. Number 10 is Benny the Butcher with Burden of Proof. I love how he uses Hit Boy's production. Hit Boy puts him in a lane that makes him sound reminiscent 02, 03 Hove. It just sounds so good and refined. It lets you know that this type of hip hop, this glossier sound, never died. It's just the people that were involved in it are the ones that stopped rapping over it. He comes across as much more than just a one-dimensional MC too. He's not just hitting you with the gangster rap. He's hitting you with some introspective music, some about his mother, some about his children, some about the way he carries himself and the hardships that he's been through. I think it's a great project filled with a lot of great one-liners and even better delivery. Number 9, I'm gonna put Mac Miller with Circles, and to me, to put it as simply as I possibly can, this is a beautiful and rare example of a posthumous release being a perfect goodbye message from the artist to his fans. There wasn't one moment on this project that I felt Mac Miller wouldn't have made this song, Mac Miller wouldn't have said this, Mac Miller wouldn't have put that out. I think the way they showed respect to this man and his musical legacy, as far as the type of person that he presented himself as and the type of music that he made, was brilliant. They let him go out with such dignity, and I truly do believe that this is his greatest work ever. It's just sad that he couldn't be here to witness everyone's reception, you know, the reception to it and how everyone loved it. Number 8 is going to be Fiona Apple's Fetch the Bolt Cutters. This album is incredibly uncaring. It's bold, it's brazen, but to say that that's not one of the reasons that I like Fiona Apple so much, I'd be lying. I'm actually thankful to be around in the same lifetime that she is, because I truly think she is one of the greatest songwriters ever. Ridiculously uncompromised in delivery and in performance, whether the beat is going at 100 pianos or not, she is doing what she wants to do regardless. Eve Toomer hit the world with a psychedelic adventure, fusing elements of rock and psychedelic soul, art pop, all into the same genre and making it sound fantastic. Number 6 is going to be Conway's From King to a God album. He truly showed why, and it's no disrespect to any of the other Griselda members, he just truly showed why, in my personal opinion, he has the spirit of Biggie to a T. Anytime I listen to Conway, I hear prime era Biggie. The slickness, the wordplay, the confidence, the braggadocio, I hear it 100%. And he showed exactly him being a part of that legendary status, in my opinion, very, very much sooner than later with From King to a God. He showed himself as more than just a one-dimensional MC that's got more to offer than just the gangster rap. He showed the luxurious talk. He showed the introspective music, you know, how he feels about losing his loved ones, how he feels about relationships, relationships and treating his own, how he feels about being black, how he feels about how the police treat people. And the bonus tracks on the deluxe do even more to help and represent that image. Number 5, Run the Jewels 4. With Run the Jewels 4. I love this album. This album is like one of my babies. In just under 40 minutes, Killer Mike and LP prove why they are one of the greatest hip-hop groups of all time. Amongst the shit year we've had in 2020, this album acts as the voice of reason, taking the stage, speaking for the people. Still maintaining that strong sense of underground despite sounding somewhat futuristic. But on the other hand, some of that futuristic music comes off and makes the tracks feel abandoned. Like if you put them in a setting and you made a music video for some of these, you put them almost in a timeline devoid of humanity. Because the way some of these arguments are delivered, it feels almost like they're describing these things to a society devoid of humanity. And they're telling these stories to this new species of how the Earth's leaders failed them and how humanity ultimately went extinct. Musically, they've been preparing to revolt for years, but when you get to this, it's like, oh shit, they're actually doing it. In a time where it felt like everything was like kind of pointless, I'd be lying if I said this album didn't give me like more motivation and more strength. Number 4 is gonna be Lido Pimienta with Miss Columbia. What is the word language barrier even mean when you listen to this? How culturally rich this album is. How much it makes you want to be there while she's singing, despite not knowing what the fuck she just said, is one of the greatest feelings ever. Lido's voice is so well controlled, and this all happens over electronic production, reggaeton, synthetic chamber pop music. She's just such a beautiful example of everything beautiful about where she's from. Number 3 is The Weeknd with After Hours. This album grew on me a lot more than I expected. While high on the melodrama, The Weeknd on After Hours manages to make you feel like you're floating in an abyss filled with drug use, filled with violence, filled with toxicity. It makes you feel like you're floating on a bed of dream pop fused with R&B and 80s synth pop and 80s synth wave. Everything about this is fantastic. So cleanly produced, so refined, down to his breath control. If this album feels like a dream, you are never waking up, because there's no miss, there's no knock or disturbance in production or technical skill vocally that's gonna rock the bed as you're floating. And another rare example of the deluxe working in favor of the original work. Cause y'all think this is a game. I know, I'm not gonna stack my vinyls long. I'm just trying to show y'all something. I'm gonna put them right back, calm down. This is only for a second. Look at this, look at this. Don't tell me this shit not lovely. Don't tell me this shit not beautiful, man. These are like some of my favorite vinyl from the year. I might do a separate video of this, I might not. But look at the inside, bro. Look at the inside. You're gonna tell me? You can't tell me shit. Okay, look at it. Look at it. Look at his face. He wants to hurt you. And it's signed. I'm never not loving on this. There are some of my other ones too, like Chez Noir. You know, I gotta love her. Flood Dream, the one I just told you about. Black Pumas. Even more fantastic. Oh, this is easily one of the faves. The Future High Off Life one. This is a great record too. I should make another video about this just to show y'all some of my favorite from this year. Oh yeah, this one crazy too. Vision of Bodies Being Burned. Let me still keep talking about The Weeknd though while I'm showing y'all these. But I want to tell you, man, The Weeknd really did a fantastic job. Run the Jewels 4, bitches. Yeah, exactly. You didn't fuck with a nigga like me. Exactly. This is the hot pink version. I still to this day feel like I should have gotten the gold one, but hot pink looks. Don't tell me that shit don't look great. That looks amazing. I might have to put After Hours on the wall because of how high I placed it though. I got out freight. I have horrible news. I made a grave mistake. So everything that I've just numbered is going to be replaced with another spot because I forgot to include my number 3 pick, Descendants of Cain from Ka. I forgot to number it. Relax. Look at the record though, my guy. Look at this, man. You gonna tell me this ain't fantastic? 100% Ka is literally like, it's like you're talking to your conscience. Everything that this dude has to say is, yes, metaphorical, but at the same time, I don't think I've ever heard such lyricism told with such complexity from a rapper before. I've said before and I'll say it again, Ka is not an MC, he is a poet. Everything that he writes is so well constructed as a concept in the context of an album, and I love the production being so lo-fi and being extremely organic throughout. Now to my number 2 spot that I accidentally spoiled. is Alfredo from Freddie motherfucking Gibbs. This was such a fantastic listen to me. Oh my God, if I could eat this. Why'd you say that? Why'd you say that? Shit was okay and then you made it weird. I won't say Freddie's best work because then, you know, Pinata exists. But I will tell you, this album to me feels like Freddie Gibbs' victory lap. I remember seeing an interview on the Bandana Release album. I think he was on Hot 97, getting really emotional about the reception and finally the release of Bandana. But the thing that I guess really hit me was like here it felt like he was existing in that congratulations. This album feels like he went to dinner and he ordered the steak, the highest order on the menu. He got some wine and he's having, you know, dinner with Alchemist and Rick Ross and whoever else was on the project. It felt like that. It felt like listening in on a conversation from an MC that can be his most raw, his most honest, his most charismatic, but naturally. It doesn't feel like he's hungry or thirsting for anything in particular on this project. It just feels like he's saucing on everyone. That's what this album feels like. He woke up and turned his swag on. And you know what? I'm not about to sugarcoat it no more. I'm gonna put this one up on the wall. I like this more than Bandana. I'm saying it right now. Shit. You were so good. You were so good. We gotta replace you finally. We gotta do it. We gotta do it to him. Boom. Right there. Right there. At my #1 spot for the year 2020, I'm going to put Boldy James with Manger on McNichols. When I was growing up in Detroit, it felt like, and I can only speak for myself, but it felt like people didn't believe in anything. You know, you couldn't walk up to somebody that was from there and just start gibbering and jabbering about shit that didn't make any sense, shit that wasn't logical or based in something that the eye could see, because the circumstances and the environment just proved to be much grimmer than that. Everything that you saw was an example of why you shouldn't waste your time or why you shouldn't be distracted by things, because life goes by in an instant. Boldy James, with the way he not only talks about and details his trauma on this album as if it's something that he just slightly looks behind on and quickly has to get to something else because he can't waste time overthinking about it or pondering on it, reminds me of how quickly you have to have a response to something when you're from there, how little time you have to assess and process situations. Sterling Tolles does absolute wonders for this project, as this project took about 13 years to actually come out. These verses were recorded over a decade ago, and the production was just finely tuning all the music that we will come to love about the record. This is one of the few definitions of production and instrumentation literally providing tracks life. You have to think about how finely tuned these pieces of music, these pieces of art would have to be musically gnawed away at before they were done to what they felt was perfection. The content on this project can be so devastating, but at the same time is always captivating. These musical foundations are full on jazz compositions, not just loop hip-hop samples. They are fully realized songs with the storyteller giving you the content in its rawest, purest form, almost like you're being injected. From tracks detailing his relationship with his mother, to tracks talking about him dealing drugs, to tracks that have so many layers to them even when sampling Aaliyah's Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. Another Detroit reference. It's disrespectful to call this Boldy James's Good Kid Mad City, but it essentially tells a story and a tale as detailed as that one, just in my opinion much more grim. Boldy James and Sterling Tolles make one of my favorite albums, not only of this year, not only of the decade, but of all time. This album is incredibly dense and heavy. Boldy James and Sterling Tolles is my 2020 album of the year. Y'all let me know what your favorite album of this year has been. I'm happy with my list. I'm happy with my lists and everybody that ranked in my list and in my positions. It actually ended up being like 52 albums, but you know, I can't count, so whatever. I'm looking forward to the new year, despite everything that's happened. With music like this in my mind, I can confidently say this is the best year that music has given us, in my opinion, over the last, I don't know how many. At least in my opinion, over the last 2 years, I would say this is easily one of the best years for music. Thank you all for watching. And that's all I got. Until next time, y'all be easy. Y'all be good. Y'all stay safe. I'll see you soon.